Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Sandy Smith, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1 Justin Tomlinson. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Private Reginald Bradford, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family, visitors to the memorial, and students on behalf of Tannum Sands State High School, visiting from Tannum Sands, Queensland. If you're able, I now invite you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Students, and for those who are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Reginald Bradford. Reginald Bradford was born in Brisbane on the 30th of July 1913, the youngest son of Sarah and Alexander Bradford. He grew up amid a large family in Tanimorol, a former coal mining town in Queensland near the New South Wales border. Having attended Tanimorol State School, he went to work for the State Wheat Board, but also found employment as a timber cutter with his brother Mervyn. With the coming of the Second World War, Australia's militia was called up for home defence. Conscription had been introduced in October 1939, with compulsory training for militia members beginning in early 1940. Bradford was mobilised for duty, reporting for duty at Toowoomba on the 7th of March 1941 at the age of 27. As tensions in the Pacific grew and the possibility of war with Japan became more likely, measures were taken to improve defences of the islands to Australia's north. Allotted to the 49th Battalion, Private Bradford spent an early portion of his service at Thursday Island, located between Queensland's Cape York Peninsula and Papua New Guinea. On the 11th of September 1941, Bradford enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force, the Volunteer Expeditionary Force of the Australian Army in the Second World War. Promoted to Lance Corporal on the 5th of November, he was soon allotted to reinforcements for the 2nd 26th Battalion. Embarking at Sydney on the 10th of January 1942, Bradford was promoted to Acting Sergeant for the duration of the voyage to Singapore. Japan's surprise attack on British, Dutch and American territories in the Asia-Pacific region in December had caused a rush of Australian forces to defend Singapore. Arriving on the 24th of January, Bradford and his comrades marched on to Johor, where they joined the 2nd 26th Battalion on the 6th of February. By then, the 2nd 26th had already been fighting the Japanese alongside British and Indian troops deployed in the Paya Lang estate before making a fighting withdrawal to Yong Pen and Ayar Hitam as the Allies withdrew towards Singapore Island. Shelled by Japanese artillery and strafed by Japanese aircraft in late January, the 2nd 26th held the Simpang-Rengnam crossroads and was particularly successful in fighting rearguard actions and with high morale. The men entered Johor Bahru on the 30th of January and crossed the causeway into Singapore. When the Japanese attacked Singapore on the 8th of February, they defended the causeway sector, but they could not stop the Japanese. As the British commander on Singapore surrendered on the 15th of February, Bradford and his battalion became prisoners of war. After a few months in Changi, Bradford was allocated to F Force, one of the last Labor forces to leave Singapore in mid-April of 1943, consisting of 3,662 Australians and 3,400 British. F Force's hardships began when the men were sent to Thailand by train. Packed into suffocating metal railway trucks with little food and water, upon reaching Ban Pong, the prisoners were marched over 300 kilometres to half a dozen camps progressing towards the Burma border. To avoid the heat, which was at its most intense in April, the prisoners marched at night for as much as 12 to 15 hours. When the monsoonal rains began in May, paths became impossibly slippery and treacherous. Many of the men collapsed and had to drop out. The bulk of F Force arrived utterly exhausted in mid-May at remote and primitive camps where acute supply problems aggravated widespread outbreaks of cholera, dysentery, malaria, beriberi and diarrhoea. Many of the men, particularly the British, were unwell even before they left. Isolated in upcountry Thailand, remote from food and medical supplies, and drenched by monsoonal rains, a third of the Australians and almost two-thirds of the British prisoners died whilst working under brutal conditions to finish the infamous Burma-Thailand Railway. Among those who would never return was Private Reginald Bradford. Recorded as having died of beriberi on the 3rd of October 1943, his family tell the story that having collapsed whilst marching to work, he was shot dead where he fell by Japanese guards. Reginald Bradford was 30 years old. Today, his remains lie buried in the Tan Bayu Zayat War Cemetery in Myanmar under the inscription chosen by his grieving family. God's greatest gift, remembrance, mother, sisters and brothers. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, amongst almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Reginald Bradford, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.